everyone, my name is Autumn, and today I'll be presenting the so-called African Americans, their pre-enslavement journey. So just a preview of the lesson. Who are the so-called African Americans? Has history been accurate of a people who seem to have no idea who they are? We've heard of their so-called history and how their forefathers built America from the sweat of their brows. However, who was this nation of people prior to their enslavement? This lesson will reveal who they were before so-called Black History Month, Martin Luther King Jr., and inventing peanut butter. So my first question to you are these Yah's chosen people? Yes, they're known to the world today as his chosen people, but are they really? We will answer this question, but before we do, there's a few things that we need to go over. And the first thing is, what is a covenant? We know that the Most High made a covenant with Abraham, so it's important that we know what the terms of a covenant is and how it differs from a contract. A contract is an agreement made in suspicion. The parties do not trust each other and they set limits on their own responsibilities. In addition, there is an expiration date. So for example, when you rent an apartment, you signed a legally binding contract, and if anything ever is to happen, you always have this contract to refer back to. And once that 1 year, 2 years, however long is up, you are no longer held to that contract. A covenant, on the other hand, is agreement made in trust. The parties love each other and put no limit on their own responsibilities. So for example, marriage. When you marry somebody, you love that person, you trust that person, you put no limits on what you're to do, they put no limits on what they are to do. And that's the same thing with Yah and Abraham. When he made that covenant with Abraham, he trusted Abraham, he loved Abraham, he put no limits on his responsibilities to him. And in return, Abraham trusted Yah, he loved Yah, and he put no limits on his responsibilities to Yah. He was even willing to sacrifice his own son because he believed in Yah. And it's very important that we note that a covenant, has no expiration date. And a covenant made with the Most High cannot be broken without consequences. I'll say it again because I want you all to remember that. A covenant made with the Most High cannot be broken without consequences. So in Genesis, you have the everlasting covenant of Yah, which was established with our forefather Abraham, which is later established through Father Abraham's seed, Isaac. Genesis 17:7 reads, "And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee, and their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be Yah God unto thee and thy seed after thee." In Genesis 25, Abraham gave all he had to his son Isaac, and Abraham dies. Yah blesses Isaac's wife with 2 sons, which represents 2 different nations, Jacob and Esau. Esau sells his birthright to Jacob. Verse 5 reads, "And Abraham gave all he had unto Isaac." In Genesis 27, Yah blesses Jacob. Verse 26 and 27 reads, "And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of the field which Yah hath blessed." In Genesis 32:24 through 28, Jacob is renamed Israel. It reads, "And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with Yah and with men, and hast prevailed." So as we can see, this covenant is established with Abraham, passed down to Isaac, and then from him to Jacob and all of Israel. So although they were not there when the covenant was established, it's an everlasting covenant. So in Exodus, this is where the everlasting covenant or the marriage covenant takes place. The children of Israel makes an everlasting covenant with Yah, and this is where the marriage covenant takes place between Yah and the children of Israel. Moshe gave all the words, commandments, statutes, and judgments of Yah to Israel, and Israel agreed or made a vow to obey all of Yah's commands. It reads, "And Moshe went up unto Yah, and Yah called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be a kingdom of priests and a set apart nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all the words which Yah commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, All that Yah hath spoken, we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yah. So as we can see from Exodus 19:8, the children of Israel agreed to do all of the commandments of the Most High. Our forefathers agreed to an everlasting covenant, not a contract. Israel's all that Yah has spoken we will do is their I do to a marriage covenant with the Creator Yah. Yet we know that the children of Israel did not keep their vow, and they went after other gods. So in Joshua 24, there's a second covenant. The children of Israel began worshiping the strange gods of their forefathers, whom their forefathers worshipped before the flood. Joshua gives Israel a stern warning and reminds them that what Yah did for them. Israel then agrees again to serve Yah and to keep the Torah laws of Yah. Then Joshua makes another covenant with Yah and the children of Israel. Verse 22 through 25 reads, And Joshua said unto the people, Ye are witnesses against yourselves that you have chosen you, Yah, to serve him. And they said, We are witnesses. Now therefore put away, said he, the strange gods which are among you, and incline your hearts unto Yah, Most High of Israel. And the people said unto Joshua, Yah, our Most High, will we serve, and his voice will we obey. So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day, and set them a statute and an ordinance in Shechem. Yet we know that Israel didn't keep their vow again. And so in Isaiah 24, Yah tells us that the curses are upon the earth because they broke the everlasting covenant. Verse 5 and 6 reads, The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the law, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curses devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men are left. So as I stated earlier, covenant made with the Most High cannot be broken without consequences. These curses are the consequences of Israel breaking his everlasting covenant, and we will be getting to them shortly. In Jeremiah 3:6-8, Israel continues to break the everlasting covenant of Yah and worship other gods. Thus Israel committed adultery, so Yah separates from and divorces Israel. Verse 6-8 reads, Yah said also unto me in the days of Josiah the king, Hast thou seen that which backsliding Israel hath done? She is gone up every high mountain and under every green tree, and hath played the harlot. And I said, after she done all these things, turn thou to me. But she returned not, and her treacherous sister Judah saw it. And I saw when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I put her away, and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot also. In Isaiah 50 verse 1, he just reminds Israel of what they did and why it is that he separated from them and divorced them. It reads, Thus saith Yah, Where's the bill of your mother's divorcement, whom I have put away? Or which of my creditors is it to whom I have sold you? Behold, for your iniquities have ye sold yourselves, and your transgressions is your mother put away. So as we previously read in Jeremiah 3:6-8, Israel was given a certificate of divorce and this is when the northern house of Israel was carried into captivity by the Assyrians in 722 BCE. Later in 586 BCE, the house of Judah was likewise carried into captivity by the Babylonians. However, Yah loved Israel so much, and he continued in warning them to repent and stop whoring and to return to him. He pleads for them, Israel, to return to him so that he can return to them. Malachi 3:7 reads, Even from the days of your fathers ye are gone away from my ordinance, and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith Yah of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? So Israel was so far removed from Yah's covenant and from his law that they didn't know who, where, or what they were returning to. In Deuteronomy 28:68, since Israel refused to hearken unto the commands of the Most High Yah, Israel suffered the curses of Deuteronomy 28. They were taken from their own land and taken to a strange land that they nor their forefathers ever knew. They were brought back to Egypt, which represents bondage or slavery, on ships to be afflicted 400 years. Yah tells them that no one will be able to save Israel from their punishment. Verse 68 reads, and Yah shall bring thee into Egypt, which again is representative of bondage or slavery, again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye should be sold to your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall save you. In Jeremiah 3:13, Yah tells Israel to admit that they have transgressed his law, committed adultery, and given themselves to strange men under every green tree. Verse 13 reads, only acknowledge thine iniquity, that thou hast transgressed against Yah thy father, and hast scattered thy ways to the strangers under every green tree, and ye have not obeyed my voice, saith Yah. So here we are, the curses of Deuteronomy 28. I say it again, a covenant made with the Most High cannot be broken without consequences. These curses are the consequences of Israel breaking his everlasting covenant. Verse 14 and 15 reads, and you shall not turn away from the words which I am commanding you today, to the right or to the left, to go after other gods, to serve them. And it shall be, if you will not heed the voice of Yah, to take heed to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I am commanding you today, even all these curses shall come on you and overtake you. From reading the Bible, we know that Israel turned away from his words. We know that they served other gods, that they did not heed his voice, that they didn't keep his commandments and his statutes. And therefore, we know that these curses have come on them and overtake them, because Yah is true to his word. In verse 46, it says, and they shall be on you for a sign and for a wonder, and on your seed forever. What is a sign? A sign is a mark, a clue, a trace. It is proof. What is a wonder? A wonder is fear, shock, amazement, marvel. How long is forever? Forever is always, endlessly, eternally, permanently, and perpetually. So basically, these curses will be on Israel for a mark, a way to identify who they are, always. So no matter the time, the day, the season, the hour, we will be able to look at these curses and identify who the children of Israel are by them. So let's go and look at the curses and see who are the children of Israel. The curses of Deuteronomy 28. Lynching and being burned alive. The quote-unquote African Americans. When we were brought here upon slavery, we were lynched, we were burned alive. A prime example would be Emmett Till. Unable to stand against their enemies. From the time of slavery even until now, we have been unable to stand against our enemies. A recent example would be Trayvon Martin. Children being taken away and given to other people. When we were brought here in slavery, our children were separated from their families and sold to a different slave master. And now you have children being taken away from their families by Child Protective Services and put up for adoption and inside foster homes, suffering from mental illness because of how they are treated. Israel is continually being oppressed. Our people have been oppressed since we've arrived here to America. And a prime example would be police brutality. There's been so much in the news lately about this issue. Israel is cursed in the urban cities. Majority of our people, the so-called African Americans, live in the urban city. And the urban city is where you have ghettos, low-income poverty areas, the worst meats and produce, the worst education and public services. And it's where you find the most crimes, the most murders, and just violence. Israel is a disease-stricken people. Our people has the highest rate of all diseases: sickle cell, diabetes, high blood pressure, you name it, we are among the top. Israel is an oppressed people. None has been able to save them from being oppressed. Since we've arrived here, there's been many people who've rised up to try and save us from our affliction. Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, Al Sharpton, and now Obama. Yet no matter how much they do, we are still being oppressed and we are still being afflicted. Serving other gods, Baal, Ashtoreth, Talmuds of wood and stone, having high places or churches of idol worship on every street. When we were brought here to America, we weren't Christians. Christianity is something that was introduced to us. And if you drive throughout the urban city, you will see churches, big, small, storefront churches on just about every street, called a proverb or a byword. Throughout our history, we've been called so many names: nigger, coon, color, African American, blackie. These names are all demeaning and degrading. The only race on the bottom owning nothing in comparison to other races. Normally the borrowers and not the lenders. We're on the bottom, and when you look throughout our communities, you barely see any black-owned business. You see every other race and nation of people having something. The Arabics with their gas station, the Chinese with their restaurants, the Asians and Koreans with their beauty supply stores and their nail salons. But when you look for a black-owned business, you barely see any. And we are always the borrowers and not the lenders, and most of the time we can't even pay the money back. A yoke of iron was put around Israel's neck. A fierce nation, swift as an eagle, came to take Israel from their land to a land they didn't know, representing an unknown language. Again, our people, when we were brought into slavery, they put a yoke of iron around our neck. And we were brought to this fierce nation, America, who's represented by the eagle. And this land and this language we did not know. The men are more prone to lead their children. Again, if you look in the black community, you will see a lot more single-parent households led by the mothers, because there is no father there. And if there is a male there, majority of the time, it's mom's boyfriend who's really not a role model for these kids. They fear for their lives on a constant basis. Again, our people deal with a lot of police brutality, along with other things. The only nation of people brought over on slave ships to another country, to be sold to their enemies for male and female servants, to be afflicted for 100 years. The so-called African Americans, we are the only nation of people that been brought over on slave ships to another country to be sold to our enemies for male and female servants via the transatlantic slave trade. And it's prophesied in Genesis 15:13 that we will be afflicted for 100 years. It reads, "And he said to Abram, know for surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land, that it's not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. The first slaves were brought here in 1619 through Jamestown, Virginia. It is currently 2014. That's 395 years, and we are still being afflicted and oppressed to this day. So these are more curses that are outside of Deuteronomy 28. Psalms 44:13-14. You have made us a disgrace to our neighbors, a scorn and a mockery to those around us. You make us a byword among the nations, a shaken head among the people. This scripture, I'm sure, describes exactly how majority of us feel when we see our brother representing us in a negative way. We feel like they make us a disgrace to our neighbors, scorn and mockery to those around us, a byword among the nations, a shaken head among the people. Isaiah 51:20. Your sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets, like an antelope in a nut, filled with fury of Yah, the rebuke of your father. It says your sons have fainted. They are unconscious. They are unconscious because they don't know who they are. They lie at all the heads of the streets. What's at the head of the street? The corner. When you drive throughout the urban city, you see a lot of our young men hanging out on the corner in front of gas stations, liquor stores, buck wild, smoking, gambling, doing things that they have no business doing, and they're filled with fury of Yah because they don't know who He is. They have no relationship with Him. Isaiah 42:22. But it is a people robbed and spoiled. They shall all be snared in holes. They were hidden in prison houses. They were for a spoil, and no one delivers, a prey, and no one says return. Our people has the highest inmate population in prisons today. Whether you committed the crime or not, the chances of you getting thrown in jail for it is very likely. We are hidden in prison houses and snared in holes. Isaiah 3:12. As for my people, children are the oppressors and women rule over them. O my people, those leading you cause you to go astray, and they swallow the ways of your path. It says children are the oppressors. You have a lot of teenagers that are joining gangs. You have a lot of parents who are afraid of their children. And women rule over them because there is no man in the household to help raise these kids. So now that we've went over the curses, I just want to give you a visual so that you can see that these curses are on us for a sign and for a wonder to identify us as the children of Israel. Deuteronomy 28:22. Lynching and being burned alive. Deuteronomy 28:48-50. Of yoke of iron put around Israel's neck. Deuteronomy 28:54. Men are more prone to lead their children. Psalms 44:13-14. A scorn to our neighbors, a mockery, a shaking the head among the people. Deuteronomy 28:68. The only nation and people brought to another country on slave ships to be sold as male and female servants. Isaiah 3:12. Children are the oppressors and women rule over them. Isaiah 42:22. Hidden in prison houses. Deuteronomy 28:66. Constantly fearing for their lives. Deuteronomy 28:43-44. We're the borrowers and not the lenders. We're on the bottom. So while these curses are nothing to be proud of, it's a start of leading us back to the Most High, because we are now able to identify ourselves as His people. Yah cursed us because of our disobedience. He chastised us, His children, just as a parent will chastise their child when they misbehave. Let's see. So this is, again, proof that we are the children of Israel. So, surprise, black people, you are not African and neither are you American. First of all, Sescapo Africanus, he was awarded the name Africanus after defeating Hannibal in the final battle of the Second Punic War. And Americo Vespucci, the Americas are named after him. Secondly, Africa and America are two different continents. This doesn't tell you who you are. It doesn't tell you anything about your culture. It doesn't tell you about your identity or where you truly come from. If anything, the term African American is a constant reminder of your slavery and your lost identity. Third, the term African American did not exist before the 1980s. It's a term that was coined by Jesse Jackson during the 1980s. So now that we know that we are the true children of Israel, there are two myths that we need to dispel. And the first myth is all blacks are African. This is not true. We know that Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Shem is where the Israelites descend from. Ham is where the Africans descend from. Zondervan's Bible Dictionary defined Ham as the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor or the father of dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Genesis 10 gives the genealogy of Noah's 3 sons. It reads, "Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood, the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. And unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber." Wikipedia states that Eber is an ancestor of the Israelites, according to the Table of Nations and in Genesis 10:11 and 1 Chronicles 1. He is the great-grandson of Noah's son, Shem. So again, we see that the Israelites come from Shem and the Africans come from Ham. So now that we identified the true descendants of Shem, let's go back to the all blacks are African deception. As stated earlier, the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary says that Ham is the progenitor, meaning father, of the dark races, but not the Negroes, the so-called African Americans today. Just as proven that African Americans, or Negroes in America, are not Ham but Shem. Both were a dark-skinned nation of people, but they were not the same people. Ham, which are the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites, and Shem, which are the African Americans, or Israelites, are and were 2 different nations of people living in Africa. But one nation was from the seed of Ham, and the other was from Shem. This should be clear as to why Moses stood up for the children of Israel and went against Pharaoh, his supposed grandfather since birth. When Pharaoh found out that Moses was an Israelite, he could care less that Moses was black or of the same dark skin as he was. Pharaoh sought to kill Moses because he was not a true Egyptian, and he killed one of his own. So again, the Egyptians, or Ham, and the Israelites, or Shem, were both 2 dark races of people, but the Egyptians ruled over the Israelites. Therefore, people should question why, if Egyptians are dark-skinned, and if Israelites are a dark-skinned nation of people, then who are these Caucasian nation of people claiming to be Israelites? This is proof that the color of our skin does not determine our race. So again, Yah constantly tells us that we are his true chosen ones, his servants. Isaiah 42:19 reads, "Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as the messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as the Most High servant?" He is saying that we are blind and that we are deaf, and that is because we have lost our identity. We don't know who we are. Isaiah 41:8-9, "But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant. I have chosen thee, and not cast thee away." Isaiah 44:21, "Remember these, O Jacob and Israel, for thou art my servant. I have formed thee, and thou art my servant, O Israel. Thou shalt not be forgotten of me." Isaiah 45:4, "For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me." Isaiah 43:10-14, saith Yah, "And my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, and neither shall there be after me. I, even I, am Yah, and beside me there is no Savior. Thus saith Yah, your Redeemer, the set-apart one of Israel. For your sake have I sent you to Babylon, and brought down all their nobles, and the Chaldeans, whose cry is in the ships." So now, again, that we know that we are the true chosen children of Israel, who are these imposters claiming to be the children of Israel? It's time to dispel myth number 2, which is the so-called Jews are the chosen people of Yah. So although the so-called Jews claim that the scriptures speak of them as the Most High chosen people. They don't refer to themselves as Hebrew Israelites, but rather Ashkenazi or Israeli, meaning that they are residents of the state of Israel. However, they are neither of the two. These so-called Jews, better known to the world today as Yah's chosen people, are Khazars. There are two types of Jews known to the world today. There's the Ashkenazi Jews and the Sephardim Jews. Ashkenazi makes up about 90% of Jews and Sephardim the remaining. Now let's take a look at both where Ashkenazi and Sephardim leads us. And let's start with Ashkenazi. In Genesis 10, 1-5, it reads, "Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. To them were sons born after the flood, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Taurus, and the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Repheth, and Togarmah." Verse 5, "By these were the idols of the Gentiles divided in their land, everyone after his tongue and after their families in their nation." So we see here that Ashkenaz is from the lineage of Japheth, which are the Gentiles. So if these so-called Jews are Ashkenaz, how are they both Gentiles and chosen? It doesn't make sense, and it's not possible. Now for those claiming to be Sephardim Jews, they are imposters too. Neither the Sephardim Jews nor the Ashkenazi Jews were from the 12 tribes of Israel, the sons of Jacob, from the lineage of Shem. 2 Kings 17:24 reads, "And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cutheth and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sephardim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof." We see here that they distinguish between the children of Israel and Sephardim. Now, if they were the children of Israel, why would they make that difference? I'm sorry. So 2 Kings 17:24 proves that the Sephardim so-called Jews living over in Palestine or Israel today are not the chosen people of the Most High. These Sephardim Esau entered the land in the 1st century CE along with the Romans when the Israelites were being kicked out of the land, as written in the book of Obadiah. Ezekiel 36:5 even prophesies that other nations, along with Edom, that are unrighteously living in the land of his chosen people. It reads, "So the Most High says, surely I have spoken in the fire of my jealousy against the rest of the nations, and against Edom, and all those of them, of her, that have given my land to themselves for possession with all joy of heart." Even Genesis 9:27 prophesies that Japheth, the Gentiles, would be enlarged and should live in the tents of Shem, the children of Israel. These pagan Gentile nations of so-called Jews are pretending to be of the tribe of Judah, living in Shem's land, Israel. So this is why it is very important to know lineage and where you come from and where other nations come from, because these so-called Jews are master masqueraders. They tricked us and everyone else into believing that they are the chosen of the Most High when they really are not. These so-called Jews are really Khazars, also known as the Synagogue of Satan. They have tricked everyone, even those knowing scriptures, into believing that they are the children of the Most High, true descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yet the scripture makes it clear that they are imposters, masquerading as Israelites, although they have no Israelite blood in their veins. The book of Revelations informs us of their deception and true identity. In Revelations 2:9, Yeshua is talking to the children of Israel. He says, I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. We are rich because of our inheritance, because of who we are, because the Most High has chosen us. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews or Judah, and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. Revelation 3:9 says the same thing. It says, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews or Judah and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and know that I have loved thee. So in other words, there are those who claim to be of the house of Judah or Judites and therefore Israelites, but who in reality are imposters identified by Yeshua as the synagogue of Satan. They are nothing but Khazar imposters, usurpers, and murderers, all in the name of so-called being from the tribe of Judah. These people started from the mountains. Now they are here pretending to be the children of Israel. So let's take a quick look at their journey and how they got to where they are today. So you'll soon learn that the Edomites moved north to Khazars, and Japheth migrated north as well. Ultimately, the so-called Jews all became a Jewish forgery that exists today. So these references are from Jews themselves and from the scriptures. The first one is from Gerald Solomon, who was a spokesperson for the Manifesto of the World Jewish Federation. It reads, no one can deny that the Jews are most unique and unusual people. That uniqueness exists because of their Edomite heritage, you cannot be English Jews. We are a race, and only as a race can we perpetuate. Our mentality is of Edomitish character and differs from that of an Englishman. Enough subterfuge. Let us assert openly that we are international Jews. The second source, it says, Haste, in his letter to King Joseph of the Khazars about 960 AD, speaks of the tradition according to which the Khazars once dwelt near the Seir Mountains. The Seir Mountains are none other than the original land of Esau or Edom. And here's scriptural support showing us the same thing. Genesis 36:8 says, thus dwelt Esau near Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. Genesis 36:21 says, Seir was a mountain range sought of the Dead Sea and was also known as the land of Edom. According to the Jewish Encyclopedia, the original stock of the Khazars came from the land of Edom. Thus we have it from Jewish sources that the Khazars originally dwelt near Mount Seir, and according to Genesis 36:8, Esau, who was Edom, dwelt in Mount Seir. But how and when did the Edomites get to Khazars? There is evidence that in the 6th century BC, some of the Edomites fled their homeland of Seir and migrated north after the fall of Jerusalem in 586 BC. The Edomites began to press northward, as it is mentioned in Ezekiel 36:5. So again, we have Jews exposing themselves as not being the children of Israel. The first one is from the Jewish Almanac, which says, strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew, or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite or a Hebrew. The next one says, in an article, The Jewish Kings of Russia, from the Jewish magazine Shabbat Shalom, Robert C. Quinlan elaborate upon the Khazar Gentile Jews. It reads, this Turkish group of Khazar kings decided to convert to Judaism, become circumcised, and then began a line of Gentile Jews, non-Israelite kings that ruled in the 10th century. Though not of Shemitic origin, Joseph, one of the Khazar kings, regarded his people as part of Israel and considered himself a Jew by faith rather than by genetics. He apparently considered Shemitic, or from the lineage of Shem, and non-Shemitic Jews to be brothers in common faith and in common Messiah. In that same article, it later contained portions of a letter written by Dr. Benjamin H. Friedman, who is also a Jew. He writes, "Here are the facts most Americans do not know. Political Zionism is almost exclusively a movement by the Jews of Europe. But these Eastern European Jews have neither racial nor historical connection with Palestine. Their non-Shemitic ancestors were not inhabitants of the Promised Land. They are the direct descendants of the people of the Khazar kingdom, which existed until the 12th century. About the 7th century AD, the kings of Khazar adopted Judaism as the state religion, and the majority of inhabitants joined him in the new allegiance. Before that date, there was no such thing as a Khazar who was a Jew. Neither then nor since was there such a thing as a Khazar whose ancestor came from the Holy Land." So we have Jews here telling us themselves that the Promised Land does not belong to them, that Judaism is something that they adopted. Here's more quotes. In his book From Pharaoh to Hitler, What is a Jew?, Bernard Joseph Brown, another Jew, admitted that since the Jews of today are not Israelites, they have no claim to the land of Judea. Arthur Koestler, who's the well-known Jewish author of the 13th tribe, exposed the true ancestry of today's Jewish people. He writes, "The American people have been led to believe that the Jews are God's chosen people. This myth was started by a small group of Jews. A few Jewish leaders took excerpts from the Bible and interpreted them to mean that God designated them as chosen people. Joseph, one of the Khazar kings, provided a genealogy of his people. He cannot and does not claim for them a Shemitic descent, or coming from the lineage of Shem. He traced their ancestry not to Shem, but to Noah's third son, Japheth, or more precisely, to Japheth's grandson, Togarmah, the ancestor of all Turkish tribes." Arthur Koestler further explains why today's Jews call themselves Ashkenazi, even though they are the true physical seed of Togarmah. He shows that the Khazars took the name of Ashkenaz because it was prophesied in Jeremiah 51:27 that Ashkenaz and their allies would conquer Babylon. These people have taken crafty counsel against the chosen ones to remove our identity as the children of Israel. Psalms 83, 3-4 reads, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance." 1 Maccabees 3:48 says, "And lay open the books of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images." And that's why today when you see a lot of pictures and movies pertaining to the Bible and people of the Bible, you don't see black people. You see these white European people, because they have taken crafty counsel. This is identity theft at its greatest. This is why the so-called African Americans do not know who they are, due to their disobedience. They have lost their identity. Yah is using the so-called Jews to punish us for our disobedience, for disobeying the everlasting covenant. There's a reason why the so-called Jews have been able to keep control of the land of Israel for over 50 years. They have cloaked themselves as the children of Israel, but they do not fit the curses, nor are they suffering the curses of Deuteronomy 28, which are assigned to identify the seed of Abraham forever. They are, however, receiving the blessings that were meant for us. They are on top. They are rich. They've been able to defeat all of their enemies, but the so-called African Americans have not. And here again is another source telling us that these people are not who they say they are. Jamal Nasser, the second president of the United Arab Republic, and the former president of the Republic of Egypt, says that Europeans claiming to be Jews are nothing more than Hebrew-speaking Gentiles. The late president of Egypt, Jamal Nasser, stated on television, "You, the Jews, will never be able to live here in peace because you left here black but came back white. We cannot accept you." So again, Yah has sent us many prophets and many servants to warn us to return back unto him. Jeremiah 7:25 reads, "Since the day that your father came out the land of Egypt unto this day, I sent you all my servants to prophets, daily rising up early and sending." Jeremiah 35:15 says the same thing. "I have also sent you all my servants to prophets, rising up early, sending and saying, each man now turn back from his evil way and amend your doings. Do not go after other gods to serve them, and you shall live in the land which I have given to you and to your fathers. But you have not bowed your ear nor listened to me." Yah has sent us Moses, Joshua, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Paul, Yeshua, and he continues to send his servants today. We stand here as his servants to warn you, our brethren, to turn back unto the Most High. Ezekiel 33:6 says, "But if the watchmen see the sword come and do not blow the trumpet, the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, then he shall be taken away in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hand." So breaking news. People, we are the Israelites.